Hey there friends, today I'm going to show you how to make and can cherries in a spiced port wine. We love these cherries over ice cream, of course. I also like them if I drain them a little and serve them alongside cheese and meats on a charcuterie board. They're delicious for that too. They're pretty good just right out of the jar. Your first step is you're going to want to wash your cherries real well, and I just use a vinegar water to do that. And then you're going to pit your cherries and definitely wear an apron. My little OXO pitter works really well, like 98% of the time. Every now and again, you'll see here a pit will escape. And so just double check. Last thing you want is to bite into a cherry that you think is pitted, but it's not. So just double check. While that's going on, or after you finish doing your cherries, you're going to combine the port wine and your spices in a pot and reduce it by half. And I just use a bamboo skewer, marking where I started and then where a half would be to kind of keep track of that. Once you're reduced by half, add your sugar and just stir to dissolve it. So now it's time to prepare our canning space and our tools. I always start with a clean surface, a clean towel, clean everything. I have a little bowl of white vinegar here with a clean washcloth. I have my Weck jar lifter, my pitted cherries that just magically appeared. And here I'm going to strain the port wine syrup so to remove all the seeds and spices. And while my jars have been on the stove heating up, I've also heated the lids, and at the end of boiling the lids, I just threw the rubber gaskets in there as well to soften them. They don't have to boil along with the lids. And once again, I just do this for abundance of caution to make sure everything is clean and sterile. I'm going to fill my jar about 90% full of cherries, and ultimately we're going to end up with a 1/2 inch headspace once we get the syrup in. But you're going to want to fill it mostly with cherries, and then pour your syrup in. Headspace is vitally important. You can't get a good seal without the proper headspace. In this case, Weck Jars recommends a 1/2 inch headspace. So that's what we'll be doing, using just my little headspace gauge, which is really a vital piece of canning, a vital tool. So I've got my 1/2 inch. So I'm going to wipe the rims down with white vinegar using a clean cloth. And I use white vinegar to wipe down every single jar that I do can. So I've got my hot gasket and my hot lid, and I'm just going to place the gasket into that little rim of the lid. Don't try to put your gasket on and then your lid. Don't put your gasket on the jar and then your lid on top of that. It's just way too hard. Do your gasket on your lid and then pick up the two of those together and place that on top of your jar. You're going to use the little clips that come with your Weck jars to hold them on during processing. You will take those off after they have been fully processed and you have created a seal. You are going to need a Weck jar lifter. The ball Kerr one doesn't work so well with the Weck jars. And they're going into the pot of simmering water. I just keep the pot, like I said, at a simmer. Just keep it at a medium while I'm filling each of the jars. Keep it hot but not boiling, and then I'm going to bring it to a boil. Once it's fully to a boil, I'll just cover it and let it process for 15 minutes, boiling fully. There's my 15-minute timer. At the end of 15 minutes, just take the jars right out of the pot. Some different canning jar manufacturers have you let them rest in there for 5 to 10 minutes, but Weck recommends you pull them out immediately. Let them sit for undisturbed for 24 hours to make sure your seals are properly sealed. And you can check that by the little tabs will be pointing down. You can see that here. So now that you have your little jars of cherry deliciousness, what are you going to do with them? Well, you could easily use these cocktail cherries by pitting them sideways and leaving the stem on. You can put the cherries over ice cream, which is our most favorite way of doing it. Drain them and just serve the cherries alongside your cheese and meat on a charcuterie board. I love the sweet against the, especially camembert, it's delightful. You could also thicken the sauce with cornstarch if you were looking for a thicker syrup. So hope those all are great ideas for you and that you give these cherries a try. Thanks so much for stopping by today. And remember, if you wanted to see the full recipe, click on the little eye in the upper right corner of this page. And if you want to subscribe to see more YouTube videos by Nurse Nestle, click on the nest in the bottom right-hand corner. Thanks again and have a great day.